guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude, back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 42, here with my always brilliant co-host, Fight Geek. Fight Geek, how you doing after your 1 week vacation going all Hollywood on us?
Feeling real refreshed, happy to be back talking fights with you, and ready for some listener questions. We got a bunch of them today.
All right, hold on. Don't be so business. Let's hear about this vacation quickly that you had to miss the show for a week. Everyone wants to know, how was the vacation?
Vacation was excellent. Had some good wife time. Went hiking up in Utah. Got off the grid. No cell phone service. So yeah, it was good. Happy to be back though. I feel like I've missed a lot.
Aren't s'mores overrated? This is the end of my camp talk, but s'mores.
S'mores overrated?
Overrated.
That's blasphemous.
All right,
blasphemous.
All right.
You must not do it right in Chicago.
Hey, you know, I'm in Southern California right now, and s'mores are everywhere.
But you're an import. All right.
Oh, wow. An import. Okay, this episode is starting off fiery, and we've got a lot of fiery topics tonight, folks. Here's a quick breakdown. First, we're going to jump into a very fast UFC Tampa recap. After that, it's the UFC Boston Preview, followed by my favorite section, listener questions and more. So, Fight Geek, on Saturday night, we obviously saw, after a long week of drama regarding weight cuts, we saw Joanna Jędrzejczyk defeat Michelle Waterson by unanimous decision in a 5-round fight that was not, it was not a beatdown. I thought Michelle fought tough, but I got such a great listener question. I want to start the show off by asking you this listener question. This is from a very, very loyal listener. This is at Hectic_1, and he says, if Joanna fights and beats Weili Zhang, do you think they will attempt to make a trilogy with Rose? Go ahead.
Absolutely. I think that's a little bit of cart before the horse, but I do think that would be something very attractive for them to do down the road. And it would make all the sense in the world. I know a lot of time a trilogy doesn't make sense if one fighter's 0-2, but actually going back and watching that second fight and looking at the statistics, it was an incredibly close fight. The first fight was a little fluky. And if Joanna was able to capture the belt again, she'd be in a position of leverage, and I think that fight could certainly happen. But I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves because Zhang versus Joanna is just amazing in my opinion. But that's my 2 cents on that.
Okay, so as you mentioned quickly, it's very rare to have a third fight when one fighter is down 0-2. I believe, was it Tito Ortiz that was involved in a third fight? Was he up or down? He was up 2-0. Is that right?
Against who? Yeah, he fought Ken Shamrock. He was up 2-0, so I know that was one of the instances.
Yes, that's the one I was thinking of. Was there another?
Well, he ended up fighting.
Oh, yeah, Chuck. No.
Down 2-0, but that doesn't quite.
I'm not going to count that.
Okay.
And then what was there another one? I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I feel like we talked about it. I can't think of it. But there was
a trilogy fight where one guy's down 0-2, not off the top of my head. Maybe a listener will know.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like maybe Phil Baroni. No, Phil Baroni is. No, I don't know. Okay. All right. So
BJ Penn versus Frankie Edgar is one.
Oh wow! Is that wow?
I think they fought 3 times.
There you go. You give me the golf clap when I say the listener questions. Now I'm giving you the golf clap. Okay, so overall, it's looking like Joanna is definitely next. Do you think she deserves to be next for the champion, Weili Zhang?
Absolutely. I think that fight is a great championship fight. One thing we saw from Joanna that we hadn't seen in her previous 3 or 4 fights was her pace was back up. Her output was up. I know there was some rumblings about her weight cut last week, but she seemed to be in the best shape we'd seen her in. Very intrigued with the matchup versus her and Zhang. Zhang is very dominant in the clinch, but as we saw last week, Joanna is actually going to be taller than Zhang, and she's very solid in the clinch as well. She landed many elbows on the break and was really beating up Michelle in the clinch, a shorter fighter. So I do think that could be somewhat, maybe a push or nullified by Joanna due to her height and how comfortable she is in the flinch. So there's a lot about that fight that I really love.
Okay, so I mean, and while we're talking about it, I have to ask, who you got really early? This is not binding. Who you got on that fight?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I put out a post on Monday about Joanna asking if anyone thought she would be be a champion again. Got mixed results, but obviously this fight could be won by either fighter. I do believe Zhang has the skills, to flash stop Joanna a la Rose if she has a tough weight cut. But I do feel like if that fight were to get to the later rounds, which I believe it probably would at this point, that would favor Joanna significantly. She has a 2.5-inch reach advantage, and she's regularly fought into the championship rounds 4 and 5, where Zhang has never fought past the third round. So I think that her cardio would have to be a question, just because we've never seen her push herself to the 4th or 5th, and that's an area where Joanna really excels. So could go either way, but at this point, I would certainly lean Joanna via split decision, 3 rounds to 2.
Wow, split decision, 3 rounds to 2. I love it. I love it. I have to agree with how close it is. It's an amazing, truly amazing fight. And I have to agree. I think that Joanna's going to get through, Weili Zhang. I don't think it'll be easy. And I've got her actually winning a unanimous decision. But it should be fun. Last question, then we're moving on from the fight. Michelle Waterson, man, she fought so tough. I really, really felt for her legitimately. One judge thought she won a round. I don't know which one that was. I had it 5-0 for Joanna. But where does Michelle go from here, Fight Geek?
Yeah, that's tough. She's really outmatched physically at the 115 class. She's just so small. She was actually somewhat of a tailor-made opponent for Joanna. Joanna looked really good, was able to get really comfortable. Off the top of my head, I believe she landed 180 strikes, which is very Joanna championship prime form pace. It's not something we've seen in the last few fights. I think she only was landing 45, 60 punches, somewhere in that range, where this fight she was back up to 180. In her prime, she's like a 160, 150 strike. So, yeah, I mean, it was a tailor-made performance by a shorter fighter. Joanna's takedown defense is amazing, especially versus someone like Michelle, who's a little bit shorter, so she was able to keep her distance, use her technique to stay off the ground, and able to just pick her apart. So I have no clue where Waterson goes from here. She's had a tough go of it for sure.
Yeah, and watching her, I just kept thinking, she wasn't doing anything poorly necessarily. She's just too darn small. She's too small. Right. She's an atom weight.
And versus someone who knows how to strike at range, like Joanna, It was an impossible task for her to get off any offense.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Okay, so co-main event, Cub Swanson defeating Crone Gracie via unanimous decision, 30-27 on all 3 cards. And I want to ask you this, Fight Geek. A lot of people were saying, wow, Crone may have lost, but boy, did he show a lot of heart, showed a lot of great stand-up. I disagree. I was not impressed at all with Crone. I was, if anything, I would almost use the word alarmed. I thought he looked really bad. What do you think?
I mean, I don't see it that way. He stood in there with a savvy striking veteran, took heavy shots.
Who's on a 4? I mean, Cub was on a 4 loss streak, right?
Yeah, but have you paid attention? He was beating up Brian Ortega on the feet until he got caught with a jumping guillotine.
Oh, I've been paying attention. I just said he was on the 4 loss streak. You didn't say that.
Right,
I've been
but
paying
I'm
close
saying
attention.
Not all 4 losses are the same. It's not like he's getting starched in 50 seconds. It's a lot of times Cub is winning.
Yeah.
When has he been outclassed?
No. Keep going.
Yeah, right. So I'm saying to hang in there versus Cub Swanson, even if he is on a 4-fight losing streak, I know that can be an indictment, but personally I don't feel like that's an indictment on Cub, specifically because of the class he's in. and the type of fighters he's facing. So I thought this was very impressive by Kron. He's fighting a guy who has nearly 40 decisions in MMA. He has 5 decisions. So the experience level was completely different. Kron decided to stay and stand with a striker and prove that he wasn't going to get highlight reel KO'd, so we know he's tough. His striking obviously was very crude. I think his best striking came in the clinch. So, his striking may have been a little overstated by some, but I think there's plenty to be inspired by if you're a Gracie fan, because he's in, his 6th fight in MMA, and he just stood with a borderline Hall of Fame fighter.
I mean, look, I love Cub. He ain't no Hall of Famer, and I know.
But Cub, what are you talking about? I'm sure him versus Doo Ho Choi will be in the Hall of Fame, that fight. He will be in the Hall of Fame someday.
Okay, yeah. Does that mean you're in the Hall of Fame if a fight's in the Hall of Fame you're in?
Well, if you walk in the doors to the Hall of Fame and they have a plaque to one of your fights, are you in the Hall of Fame or not?
Okay, well now we're going. Okay.
Right. I'm just backing up my point.
All right. Fair.
Swanson is a bonus king. He bonuses all the time. He has legendary fights. He's been in there with Aldo. He's been in there with all kinds of champions. He's very tough. He's very skilled. This was do or die for him. And Kron was in there to the very end, and he was hurting him. So it was an impressive performance, even in a loss. For me, especially considering he jumps from Alex Caceres to Cub Swanson. That is a enormous jump in skill.
Okay, fair. I was alarmed by Kron's lack of takedown offense / submission offense. I know he had a few little moments, but what did you think of his jiu-jitsu implementation?
Yeah, that was not there. So I think
why?
We don't know. I mean, he's a quirky guy. Maybe he was trying to prove something to himself. Maybe
he proved that he could lose to someone on a 4-fight losing streak.
We also proved that he could take heavy body shots, head shots, and still walk forward and take somebody down. I think Kron Gracie, you know what I think after that fight? I'm higher on him now fighting top 15 talent than I was before.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying.
Yeah, I would say his outlook is more promising because he actually showed some toughness and ability to hang in a firefight, where I think that was a huge unknown before. Obviously, he didn't win, but not everybody can be Hoist and go 9-0 in their first 9 fights or whatever.
Okay, so, by the way, guys, I love Cub Swanson. I'm not trying to go after Cub. I was so happy for Cub for winning. I did pick Kron to win in my picks, but I was very happy to be wrong. I love Cub Swanson, and he is a legend. But let me ask you this. So Kron Gracie loses, unanimous decision, loses every round on all 3 judges' scorecards to Cub Swanson, who was on a 4-fight losing streak, to be fair. And you're telling me he's ready now for top 15 competition more than before. How far do you think he's going to go in that top 15? Because obviously Cub Swanson was far too much for him. Far too much.
I don't think he was far too much. I off the top of my head, and I was watching this in passing, but I gave a round to Kron. I think it was the second round when he was landing a bunch in the clinch. And actually, I mean, Cub was lumped up too. It's not like Cub got out of there unscathed. He was eating some heavy shots.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a nice little back and forth. I did have Cub winning all 3 rounds.
Yeah, I think I had a 29-28 Cub, and I did give him. You have to give Kron some credit. He moved forward the whole fight. He was advancing.
Where were his submission attempts? He's a Gracie.
This is true. That was the one questionable part of his game plan, obviously. But 5th fight in, 6th fight in, we don't know if he's experimenting for something down the road. Maybe he's just one of these guys who wants to beat people at their own style, a la John Jones in some of his past fights. Maybe it's just a pride thing. Either way, good showing for Kron Gracie, good showing for Cub Swanson. Excited to see what's next for both of those guys, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And then really fast, let's just choose one of them. Cub. Who would you like to see Cub Swanson fight next?
You have the top 15 up right there?
I'm pulling it up right now, so you've got to kill a little bit of time.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I feel so out of the loop. Andre Feely, maybe, or did they already fight?
Okay. Okay, so We've got number 15, Arnold Allen, 14, Ryan Hall, 13, Mirsad Bektic, 12, Shane Burgos, 11, Calvin Kattar, 10, Josh Emmett.
Cub versus Josh Emmett sounds all right.
Have they fought? No.
Cubs fought everybody in that division, so it's kind of hard to pull.
Wait, I feel like they have fought, but yeah, gosh, you're right. Okay, all right, fair enough. So, are we ready to move on?
Yeah. Well, what do you got next for Kron Gracie?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask because I don't know. I didn't take away what everyone else took away. I thought Kron looked bad. I really did. I was. As GSP would say, I was not impressed with your performance. Okay, that sounds more like a bad Arnold Schwarzenegger, but just go with it, okay?
Austrian, Canadian, same difference.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. How about, Kron versus, versus, who's Arnold Allen fighting? Is he fighting? Arnold Allen?
I like that matchup, but I don't know. That's a tough matchup for Kron.
That's why I like it.
Yeah. But either way, I like that. Arnold Allen versus Kron Gracie, sign me up.
And by the way, I'll come out and say it, usually not into the politics stuff. If you think the earth is flat, I don't like you. If you think the earth is flat, I don't like you. So, that's how that is.
You reserve that right. It's okay.
I mean, the earth is round, okay? So, I don't like
We have these things called satellites and cameras.
And physics. Oh, don't get me started. Okay, moving on. So, the third fight. Whoa, what a performance. Nico Price, my boy. Defeating James Vick. Poor James Vick. Via upkick KO. 1 minute and 44 seconds into the first round. First and foremost is James.
You know what I think is hilarious is how everyone claims Nico Price is their guy now. Everybody's boy is Nico Price.
Oh, totally. Everyone's jumping on the Nico bandwagon.
I'm gonna let y'all have Nico Price this time. It's all.
Whoa! Why you throwing shade? Me and Nico are boys.
He's a little too hipster this week for me. Everybody is calling Nico Price their boy. Let's slow down here. It was
I'm not talking. If you're trying to get me to talk crap about Nico Price, it's not going to happen.
I'm just saying he's the flavor of the week for sure right now.
Wow.
But yes, it was incredibly impressive. He's a wild man in there, very dangerous from all positions. James Vick has glaring defensive weaknesses though, so I don't know how much you can. Huh?
That was my question. Before I was very rudely interrupted, by the way. Do you see what I'm dealing with, guys? Okay, so James Vick, does he have a place in the UFC, or is it time to cut him? And should he retire if he's cut? Should he go to bare knuckle fighting?
There's certainly a place for him somewhere if he wants to fight.
In the UFC?
I hate to say this, but James Vick really feels like a PFL fighter to me now. On that we can agree, and I saw the PFL playoffs, and I'm happy to talk quickly about them later. Oh boy! No, because you just bag on them. I liked them.
They were so bad, dude, and everyone is such a bad fighter. It's such low quality fighters.
Well, thanks for your 2 cents. Back to James.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I think he needs a very long break. I don't. My biggest concern was why would he debut versus someone like Nico Price? Now, Nico Price may not be ranked in the top 15, but if you know Nico Price's film, he's an incredibly violent, athletic, aggressive fighter. Not the kind of fighter you want to face on a 3-fight knockout losing streak. No clue why he debuted there. I mean, why didn't they debut James Vick versus someone like Carlos Condit or someone where he could have got his footing? Nico Price is just an awkward matchup for 99% of the roster.
Yeah.
Bad matchmaking, I feel like, in that one, especially if you're James Vick. I know you wanted to get back on the horse and prove yourself, but you needed to pick a more strategic fight, in my opinion.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that they felt bad for Vic, and I actually understood those tweets because Vic, he was doing what he had to do with Gaethje. He wasn't going to be polite. He had to try to sell the fight, so he's saying you're Homer Simpson, you got CTE, and now obviously he's a complete laughing stock, if I'm being honest, and it's hard to watch a little bit. It is hard to watch the fortune.
Yeah, I mean, I don't consider anybody who bleeds for my entertainment a laughing stock. The guy has honor. He makes the weight. He goes in there. He fights. I hate how people just want to make fun of
Well,
him.
see, I would agree with that. I would say no one's a laughing stock who bleeds for our entertainment except for James Vick.
Well, you
No,
would
I'm just
say
kidding.
that.
I'm just kidding.
You've
I'm
never-
kidding.
yeah.
I'm just being a jerk. I'm just being a jerk. Okay,
My,
okay.
My point is like, who are you? Who are we to tell him what to do? In the vein of, I just got done watching the 30 for 30 Tito versus Chuck. I don't know if you caught that before we started recording, but it almost feels like this. Chuck Liddell. When they were trying to get him to stop. And the chin does not come back once it's reached that point. And for James Vick, I just feel like that button has been pushed. That's just my belief. I'm not sure that he's going to be able to compete with the elite of the elite, in my opinion.
So, do you think he should be cut from the UFC? You are Dana White. You're making the decision right now. Go.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Cool. So, we ready to move on? Amanda Ribas defeats Mackenzie Dern via unanimous decision, 30-27 on all three scorecards.
Amanda Ribas is looking great. This is her second fight where she's really caught my attention with, kind of her in and out striking. She's very athletic. She's quick. Mackenzie Dern looked awful.
Whoa. Mackenzie
What?
Dern looked great. Now we have to talk about her fighting, which didn't look good.
Oh, okay. I see what you did there. Yeah, her striking, I don't know if you've been following her on Instagram or Twitter, but her striking where she was like hitting the pads underhand with her coach and people were kind of making fun of her. Her striking is she has her chin straight up in the air. She pulls her head straight back. If Amanda Rivas possessed enough power to knock her out, she surely would have. But, at this point, I just don't. She wants to stand and strike with people, and she's a very crude striker. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work.
I totally agree. I think that this was, look, I picked Dern to win, first and foremost, guys. I picked Dern to win, so I got that wrong. So please, feel free to give me crap on that.
You were Mr. Hipster Take when I was gone last week, huh? Dern
I did pretty
Crum,
well. Hey,
I
started off 5-0, and I think I finished 9-5 or something.
95, okay.
No, I don't know. It got a lot. I started off 5-0, and I was like, "Woo, baby!" And then everything got worse.
Yeah, I think Mackenzie Dern. She technically has a ton to work on. She had a layoff. Striking. I know she landed a couple heavy shots versus Amanda Cooper, but when she's dealing with someone who's a little more technical, like Amanda Ribas, she was extremely exposed.
Okay. So moving on real quick. We got to get through this card, but I do have to really quickly touch on Matt Frevola defeating Luis Violent Bob Ross Pena via split decision. This was a very controversial fight.
The steamroller.
The steamroller.
I know. Again, I didn't see this as that controversial.
I had Frevola winning. I can't even lie to you, bro.
As did I. 29-28. It was incredibly back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Luis Pena, man, he just leaves so much in there. He's got a lot of talent. He has size. I know he has skills. He's very hesitant on the feet. His takedown defense isn't great. What do you want me to say? I'm expecting more out of that guy. I just am. I've been expecting more out of him. He's seemed a little lackluster to me. And when you leave it in the hands of the judges, that's the kind of stuff you can expect.
Totally agree. Okay, so Eric Anders had a very ho-hum split decision win over Mearshart. I chose Gerald to beat Anders, and that was trying to be a hipster success. That didn't work out so good, but it almost did.
That fight was painfully boring in my opinion.
I know. Let's move on.
Yeah,
okay.
Both stiff strikers. I think Anders has hit his peak. He's probably not going to beat many top 15 guys.
Yeah, Ryan Spann defeats Devin Clark via guillotine choke submission, 2 minutes and 1 second into the second round. I remember tweeting about this fight and saying, did Spann cut 60 pounds? Because it looks like Ngannou versus Demetrius Johnson in there.
Yeah, he certainly was a lot bigger. Well, Devin Clark is a short 205-pounder, very stocky, kind of has a
big legs.
like a Rashad Evans type build, but huge legs.
Yep.
But also a guy who's not confident in getting his offense off. He's in there just dancing around. He can't get – I mean, did he even threaten Spann?
No.
Right. Spann walked him down and then, eventually landed something and then got an advantageous position. And it was impressive that he was able to choke him out. I don't think anybody picked that, but – yeah, I like Spann. I think that he has some good potential. Obviously, he's very raw. I think he came from the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series, correct?
I believe that's correct. I believe.
So, I mean, he's only in his second or third fight in the UFC. So another guy that's trying to make 205 great again. That class has a lot of obscure guys who are actually pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, moving on to one of the biggest talking points of the evening. The lightweight fight between Mike Davis and Thomas Gifford. Davis defeating Gifford by knockout 4 minutes and 45 seconds into the third round. Now, obviously, a lot of controversy. A lot of people, including myself, were very outspoken saying that the fight should have been stopped as early as after the first round, at least by the ref. And if not, then by the corner.
I was calling by the end of the second round. I think I tweeted that it should be stopped 10 minutes in. Davis was landing everything. Actually kept landing the same exact three-punch combination over and over and over from what I could tell. And while the guy was still in there, he wasn't necessarily able to intelligently defend himself. He was just eating shots and proving his toughness.
Yeah,
I don't know that is intelligently defending yourself, being a punching bag.
Yeah, and let me ask you this. I really want your honest opinion here, Fight Geek. I was trying to think of a fight that was in a major MMA promotion that I've seen, that was more disturbing to watch than that, because I was highly concerned, especially with all the nightmares that have been going on with boxing. With that, there've been a fighter just was put into a coma this weekend. Obviously, prayers for him. I'm praying for him. But if anyone's gonna get killed fighting, I would imagine it would be someone like Thomas Gifford in a Mike Davis type fight.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did you feel uncomfortable? I felt very uncomfortable.
I unequivocally knew that Gifford would get knocked out unconscious. I knew that was going to happen. I felt that. And everybody could see it.
Yeah. And what did you think of...
I would have stopped it I would have stopped it after the second. But I would have, if I was that ref, when he was unable to answer those leg kicks that dropped him twice in a row prior to the knockout, the fight should have been stopped based on his inability to respond to those leg kicks. 2 times they dropped him. He stood him back up, and then he gets knocked out. They had multiple opportunities to intervene here. So that's where the problem lies, in my opinion.
What did you think about the fact that I believe it was after the second round, Gifford goes back to his corner, which is, by the way, his corner's run by Mark Montoya, who is Lionheart's coach, who I was singing the praises of and saying he's my favorite new coach recently. And he said, how do you feel, to Gifford? And Gifford says, I feel terrible. And he says, okay, well, can you keep fighting? And he says, yeah. And I was cringing. I couldn't cringe more. I mean, what do you want him to do? Say, no, coach, I want to quit on national television. Get me out.
It's almost like when he says he feels terrible, it's almost should be the tell for the coach to say, I mean, if unless they have that kind of banter back and forth, which we don't know, where maybe he's a sarcastic guy, maybe he's a facetious guy. We don't know how we don't know the inner workings of that relationship. But anybody with a naked eye could see that there was a big discrepancy in skill level, talent level, and one guy, Davis, is an incredibly talented guy. It's not that Gifford sucks. It's that Mike Davis is a bad dude. He lost to Sadiq Youssef on the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series in one of the best matchups I've ever seen on that show. I mean, two guys who are top prospects. Mike Davis has a lot of ability. So when you see a guy like that really teeing off, you need to understand that there was no way that guy was going to turn the tide. I mean, it was clear he couldn't turn the tide. He didn't have the tools to turn the tide.
Yeah. No, I have to agree. We then Alex Morono had a unanimous decision win over Max Griffin. Devaison Figueiredo defeated Tim Elliott 3 minutes and 8 seconds into the first round via guillotine choke submission. I thought Tim Elliott looked like he had killed some kind of disgusting forest animal and put it on his head. I don't know what was going on with that haircut, but he literally ran into the guillotine, and then I guess people were saying Figueiredo held the choke a little too long. But what I really
100% held the choke too long.
Well, you know what, man? Like, look, I do BJJ twice a week. People hold the chokes too long in competitive practice rolling. I mean, you gotta keep your emotions in check.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there an element to once you lock your hands, it almost takes a second to untangle them and get loose from that position, especially if you're like fully flexed, wrapped around, he's holding your arms. Like, it's not an immediate like let go. His arm is all the way under his tucked neck on the bottom side, so it's not like he's just gonna pull his hands out. There's a lot of tangled up right there.
Yeah, no. I mean, I hear what you're saying. It's very true that it takes at least 1 second, if not a couple seconds, to completely untangle, for sure. But you can let go of that intense pressure pretty much immediately.
Right. Yeah, it resembled Paul Harris in a strange way.
Yeah, I just, and I get it, I guess Devaison should have let go earlier. But then, did you see when the ref is stopping the fight, Tim goes to pretend he's going to punch him, like cheap shot him in the face. And I just thought, Tim, you just got choked out in a very bad way. Like, what kind of clown move is that?
Well, I mean, if you've been following along, Tim Elliott is a clown.
Is this your new condescending little tone?
I'm just saying,
if you've been following along. Well, Phil, if you've been following along, which you haven't. What is this if you've been following along? Get rid of this. Okay. Anyways, moving on. Marlon Vera again. Oh, you know what? He did, he got the stoppage.
How dare you brush over Chito Vera's beautiful performance?
No,
that was a fun fight.
The truth is, he did great.
They looked amazing. He took some early damage from a guy who had a significant reach advantage. I mean, Andre Ewell's arms are like go-go gadget arms. Those things are longer than heck. So He dealt with a big reach disadvantage. Took him a while to get on the inside, but once he did, he showed you a lot in the grappling realm, and then he obviously showed you stuff in the clinch. I love Chito Vera, one of my personal favorites. Great performance. Definitely time for him to get like a top 10 opponent, in my opinion. I think that's 5 in a row for him.
Yep, and I did successfully predict him winning, just for the record. Everyone was high on Ewell. Hashtag humble brag. Okay, moving on. Miguel Baeza defeated Hector Aldana 2 minutes and 32 seconds into the second round via TKO. That was impressive as well. Don't have too many thoughts on it, do you?
Super athletic young prospect with lots of skills. Definitely got to pay attention to.
Yep. Middleweight Marvin Vettori defeats Andrew Dirty Sanchez via unanimous decision, 30-27 across all 3 cards. Marvin Vettori, man, really quick. I know that he fought Israel Adesanya tough, and he can't stop talking about it. I just think there's something. He's very good. He's very talented.
Very good, yeah.
Yeah, but what's he missing? He's missing something, and I think it might be power in the hands.
No, I don't think it's power in the hands. It might be versatility. I think he's a little straightforward with his attack. He doesn't catch a lot by surprise, but he's a big, strong guy who's durable, hard to get out of there. I don't think we've seen the best of him yet. Definitely high on Vettori. I think he's a bulldog.
Okay. All right. Very fair. And then Really quickly, the last fight, women's flyweight, J.J. Aldrich defeats Lauren Mueller via unanimous decision. I picked Aldrich to win, and you know what? She did well, but so did Lauren. It was
Well,
actually
yeah,
it was a great fight.
yeah, it was a tough fight. Lauren Mueller, I was really high on her. She's had some stumbles lately. Uh, Aldrich is very tough, a little more skilled than she appears. She was landing some very nice strikes and actually won the striking, which was surprising to me. So good
Yeah,
performance by her.
absolutely. Okay, are we ready to move on from this UFC Tampa card?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go into UFC Boston, a UFC Boston preview and picks. But really, really quickly before we do, we simply have to touch on Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson winning the belt for the Flyweight Grand Prix. But here's my question for you, Fight Geek. Obviously, Demetrius Johnson going on social media, saying new profile pic. He's got the one belt. He's rocking it. He's the champ of the Grand Prix. Everyone and their mother on MMA Twitter tweeting, is there any doubt that DJ is the pound for pound best? Look what he just did at one. But DJ was getting that belt for winning the Flyweight Grand Prix. He is not the Flyweight champion. I repeat, he is not the Flyweight champion, folks. Adriano Moraes is the Flyweight champ. DJ has only, essentially set up that fight. So, what is your opinion, Fight Geek, of DJ being given a belt for winning a Grand Prix that's really just kind of means you're the runner-up, you're the next guy up?
Yeah, it's a little bizarre to win a belt for winning a Grand Prix that doesn't involve the title holder, but he did win the Grand Prix, so I guess it's a nice little addition to the trophy case, but I don't know that it does a lot for his resume long term.
Well, do you count that as a? I don't count that as a title, like as a formal resume title. I mean, you can't.
No, it's more of like a tournament win.
Yeah. And you could compare it to an interim title, but by the way, I don't count interim titles either for people. So.
Yeah, I mean, when you're basing someone's GOAT candidacy, you don't go back to the interim titles they won.
Yes, I think that's very well said. And then the last question was, related to that, how is this really that much different than the BMF belt, which a lot of people are hating on for 244? I mean, these are now two belts that are going to be handed out to non-champions of the division. So are people being hypocrites by hating on the BMF belt? Because there are some people who do that, but then praising Demetrius Johnson for winning this belt that isn't a real belt.
No, I mean, I don't think they're apples to apples here. The BMF is 100% a marketing tool for the UFC to sell fights to casual fans. DJ won a tournament to set up who's going to be the next title contender. So DJ actually won something, even though his belt doesn't signify the actual undisputed championship. He still won 3 fights or whatever it was within that tournament to win that. So he earned that belt, whatever that belt may mean. Where the BMF belt is literally just a pie in the sky marketing tool. Cool marketing tool, but it literally means nothing.
Okay, so let me follow up with this question. Did one championship damage the integrity of their flyweight belt by having Adriano Moraes not compete in the Flyweight Grand Prix and by giving DJ a belt after winning the Flyweight Grand Prix?
I don't think so, because I don't think the common MMA fan, this is even reaching their consciousness. I think me and you are diving into it deeper than the average person does, so I don't think people really have too many thoughts on it at all.
I think you're not giving the diehard fans, most of our listeners are diehards. You may be underestimating them, but fair enough. I agree it's not on everyone's mind.
I would be surprised to see who knew that DJ didn't win the actual title this weekend, because I would assume that the fair majority of fans, just based off of Twitter, believed he won the actual belt.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Are we ready to move on to our UFC Boston picks and previews?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's start off with that main event. And obviously, guys, we're not going to go through every fight, just the big ones. But we got Chris Weidman, 14-4, moving up to 205 to take on the undefeated number 5 ranked contender at light heavyweight, 11-0 Dominic Reyes. And who you got, Fight Geek?
Yeah, super interesting fight. I know Dom Reyes is one of your personal favorites.
I don't like him.
Super interested to see how Chris Weidman looks up at 205. Been a big Chris Weidman fan in the past. He has not aged well. He was looking very slow at 185. Had some solid performances, but always seemed to slip up and get caught with something or be put in a negative situation and find a way to lose. I am not expecting him. I don't think he's going to get astronomically quicker going up to 205. I do think he will be a little quicker there than he was at 185 relative to 185, but I'm going to have to go with Dom Reyes here. I just think he's too heavy of a hitter. I think he will have the cardio to last. I see him stopping Weidman in the fourth via TKO. I just think Weidman is just not going to be athletic enough to hang with Reyes long term.
See, okay, just really quick. You think Weidman is going to be faster at 205?
Relatively faster. So he's a slower guy at 185, which is more of a fast twitch division where you got Israel Adesanya, Anderson Silva types who are very explosive, where he's more of a lumbering wrestler.
I hear you.
But the guys up at the higher weight class at 205 aren't necessarily known for their speed either. So him coming up from the lighter weight class would mean that relative to the division, he should be a little quicker than he was previously. Now, we didn't see this at all with Luke Rockhold. As a matter of fact, Luke Rockhold looked much more heavy and lumbering at 205 than he ever did at 185. So there's no guarantees that you'll be quicker. I would just assume that Weidman would seem quicker at that weight, fighting bigger guys. But he's not going to versus a guy like Reyes, who is already fairly athletic, fast twitch in his prime. I don't think he's going to be able to bridge that gap. And I do think that Weidman tends to fade, and carrying that extra weight probably will affect his cardio somewhat. And I think that eventually he'll wear down, leave himself open, and get caught.
Okay, very fair. As you know, guys, I'm not a big Dominic Reyes fan. Was not impressed with his fake win over Ozdemir, and then didn't like him calling out Jones after that. But that's in the past. Having said that, I don't like Dominic. I do see him winning this fight via stoppage. I think Chris's toughness will take him into the third or fourth round, fourth at the absolute best. Don't see it going past the fourth. Look for a Dominic Reyes stoppage in the third or fourth round. Are we ready to move on?
Yep.
All right, we've got in the co-main the Yair Rodriguez versus Jeremy Stephens sequel. Stephens Rodriguez 2.
I'm so happy they're running this back very quickly. I almost forgot that it was on this Friday, and when I saw it as the co-main, I was like, nice. We're going to get to resolve this immediately. You don't got to wait like 8 months or something stupid.
Right, totally agree. So I'll take this one. It's a very close fight, but I just think that with the 3-round format, I just think it favors Yair. I think he's going to win by unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board.
Yeah, man, I've been going back and forth on this one. Trying to draw any conclusions from their first matchup is damn near impossible. So I'm just going to go on a flyer with this one and say Jeremy Stephens via second round KO.
Whoa. Stephens via second round KO.
Yeah, I think he's going to charge in there. I think he's going to make Yair uncomfortable. Yair obviously has wild kicks and stuff to keep the distance, but I just think that Jeremy Stephens is going to have an intensity and an aggressiveness to him that night that is going to give Yair problems.
Very fair. Okay. Greg Hardy versus Ben Sussely. Ben Sussely 7-2. He's the number 1 heavyweight from Australia and New Zealand.
Is it Sassoli?
Yeah, it could be.
Okay.
Who you got?
I'm going to take Greg Hardy here. I know Sassoli is one of the more experienced guys that Hardy's faced to this point. But as much as it pains me to say it, Greg Hardy's uber talented, has all the tools. He's probably going to look better than he did in his previous fight with this little bit of a layoff, and now he's been, training, learning, evolving a little bit more. So I'm going to take Greg Hardy. I don't even know when. Probably be a slugfest. The other guy's a good striker as well, so it's really hard to say, but take Greg Hardy via second round TKO.
Okay, you think that Ben makes it into the second, huh?
Yeah, I think Ben's probably the best striker Greg Hardy's ever faced.
Fair. I think that Hardy's going to get it done very late in the first with a minute or less to go.
Huh. Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting Greg Hardy fight. All right, let's keep it moving.
Lozon. Joe Lozon versus Jonathan Pierce. Really, really fast.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. I got Jonathan Pierce with the upset.
Yeah, I got to take Jonathan Pierce. Don't see how this can be an upset at this point.
Wait, what? You got Pierce too?
Yeah, well, Joe Lozon has taken a metric ton of damage, been knocked out. I think he was stopped by Chris Grutzmacher last time. So if you're getting stopped by Chris Grutzmacher, you can be stopped by anyone on the roster.
Hey, show some respect for the Ultimate Fighter. Tough forever.
Yeah. Well, if he's knocking you out, your career outlook might not be that good.
Okay, fine. All right.
Brings us to an interesting matchup.
Yeah.
Go ahead, call it out.
Macy Barber, number 17 worldwide flyweight versus the number 14 worldwide flyweight, Jillian Robertson.
Like them both. Super high on Macy Barber. Like many times have been quoted as calling her the female Rory McDonald. Uber prospect, young, super ahead of the curve when it comes to their skills. Plus, she's a fighter. So even though I like Jillian Roberts and she's very good as well, I'm taking Macy Barber by second round TKO.
All right, true or false? Jillian Robertson may be the character from The Fifth Element, the movie, who is now time traveled to become an MMA fighter in 2019.
Let's go with true.
Okay, thank you. Good answer. I think Jillian's very good. I think she's even better than her decent 7-3 record infers. Having said that, Macy Barber is a special talent. I believe Macy started DMing Paige Van Zandt's husband to try and get the fight with Paige.
She's a special kind of troll also.
If I could give Macy 1,000,000 high fives, it would be 1,000,000 too few for that. I love it.
Nice. Yeah, I love it too. I'm a big fan of hers. I know she's ruffling some feathers, but I think she would get Paige Van Zandt out of there fairly quickly at this point. But that's a different conversation for a different day.
I think Barber finishes Jillian Robertson in the third.
Nice. All right. This is a great fight. I'm very interested in who you got here. Deron Wynn versus Darren Stewart.
Whose turn is it to go first?
Yours. Let's hear who you got.
I got Darren Stewart. Deron Wynn has looked like trouble for a while. I know he's 6-0. Guess what, guys? I've got bad news for you. I watch the sport more closely than that. And I see Wynn and I see the holes everywhere. It's like a parachute tumbling to the earth that doesn't have any, you know what I mean? A parachute
I don't see the holes. I'm just saying he's
You don't see the holes? You don't see the holes?
He's tiny for the
That's a hole. He's got a hole in where his body should be in relation to the earth.
So you mean like a... Oh, never mind. Yeah, I'm taking Darren Stewart here. He's 6 foot versus a 5'7" guy. He's going to have a big reach advantage. He's very explosive. Deron Wynn has been in a couple pretty solid striking matches, but I think Darren Stewart by far will be the most powerful, explosive puncher he's faced. So I'm taking Darren Stewart by third round TKO.
Okay, now, these next few fights, I'm going to start just kind of running through them, and you tell me if we're going too fast. So I do have Manny Bermudez beating Charles Rosa. Who you got in that one really fast?
Taking Manny Bermudez there as well.
Okay, I got Molly McCann beating Diana Belbicha.
I'm with you. Meatball Molly all the way.
Yeah. And I have... this is a tough one. But I do have Bochniak defeating undefeated Sean Woodson.
As do I. I have Bochniak winning. Bochniak gave Zabit all he could handle. I know he hasn't been great since then, but I like his style. He's a come forward action fighter, nonstop. I think he'll give him some problems.
Yep, agreed. I then have, and this is my favorite fighter name of all time. If anyone says, what's your favorite fighter name? It's not hard. It's Boston Salmon. And I've got Boston Salmon. That's his real name, guys. I can't make that up. Boston Salmon is this man's name. What? How is this real life? How is this real? Okay, moving on. Boston Salmon to defeat Randy Costa, baby.
I'm taking Boston Salmon as well.
How is that a real name? Just tell me. How's that a name, Fight Geek?
I don't know. Maybe his parents were fishermen.
Name him Boston. Boston. Okay. All right, moving on. Okay, Sean Brady versus Court McGee. Now, this one jumped out to me. Fight Geek, because obviously Sean Brady is 10-0. Court McGee 19-8. Ha ha ha. Let's laugh at Court McGee. So, but it kind of jumped out to me as like sort of that weird live dog where McGee could make, because McGee's tough, and I've seen him win tough fights, and I feel like he's got the potential for a gigantic upset. Am I crazy?
I don't know. Would that be gigantic?
It would be. He's a big underdog. Last I checked.
Yeah. Well, I'm taking him here, like you said.
You're taking McGee?
Yes, I am. Based on his grinding style, experience, toughness, I think he'll turn it into an ugly fight. I could be wrong, but most Court McGee fights are pretty ugly, and he ends up finding his way to win.
All right. Now, I've been calling too many first, so now it's your turn. Kevin Holland versus Brendan Allen. Who you got? And that's a tough one.
Got to go with Kevin Holland. Fan of Kevin Holland's. I think if he can stay focused, he's very talented.
I'll say this, okay? This was the hardest fight for me to call on the card, and I'm annoyed because you did agree with me. I'm also taking Kevin Holland.
Okay.
And
I think we have one more though, right? We have
Daniel Spitz versus Tanner Boza.
Taking Spitz.
And I am taking Spitz.
Exciting stuff. We ready to move on?
We are, folks. We are going to be right back with listener questions. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude letting you know that this episode of the Split Decision Podcast is brought to you by TotalAggressionClothing.com. Visit www.TotalAggressionClothing.com and use the promo code 46210 to receive a special Split Podcast discount on all Total Aggression hats, shirts, hoodies, and more. Again, that's www.TotalAggressionClothing.com with promo code 46210. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude, back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 42, here with my always brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek, who can sometimes be obnoxious, but always brilliant. And it is now time for my favorite segment, Listener Questions!
Yeah, threw a little Joe Dirt on the end there, huh?
I had to, baby.
All right, let's get into it. We got a ton of them. I got some queued up from Instagram already.
Oh, go ahead.
N_web1212 on Instagram asks, does the winner of Friday's main event get John, or does the winner of Anderson versus Walker get John? Go ahead.
Yeah, great question. My answer is whoever has the most impressive victory should get John. So, for example, if Dominic Reyes hypothetically gets a fifth round TKO after losing 2 rounds, but it's a great fight, and then Johnny Walker knocks out Corey Anderson in the first. Johnny Walker needs to get the title shot. What do you think?
I can agree with those scenarios there. Yeah, I'll go ahead and just say with you, whoever has the best performance out of those 4 will be the front runner, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
All right, let me finish one more. I got one more from Instagram, and this is actually from the Fighting With Myself podcast. Juice asks a question on Instagram today. Amanda Ribas beat the brakes off Mackenzie Dern. What was this a case of Dern's inability to compete with the rest of the division, or is Ribas that good? What is her ceiling? Go ahead.
You want to go, or should I go?
I thought Dern looked very rusty, technically.
Ribas isn't that good. Totally agree.
No, Ribas is good. She is good. I certainly see her as a top 10 fighter in that division for sure. She's very young. Dern just looked more bad than she looked good, but I do think Ribas has top 10 potential for sure.
I guess what I was saying, and you can disagree here, is that I didn't mean to talk over you. You can disagree. I was saying that to me, the takeaway from the fight was more Dern's inability to show high-level mixed martial artist performance, a mixed martial artist performance, than it was about her opponent.
I can agree with that.
Okay. All right. So, should I go?
Yeah.
Okay, this is from 604 MMA. What up, bro? 604 MMA, shout out to you. You got us our Gary Tonin interview, episode 17, folks. If you ever want to go back, check it out. He says, in the aftermath of Izzy Whitaker, where do both men stand in order to keep the trajectory on their legacy in the pound-for-pound rankings? Who suits Whitaker to keep him in line for a shot at the belt? And for Izzy, is beating Costa a staple in his legacy, or is a move up to light heavyweight better for his legacy? Go ahead.
Well, I firmly believe title defenses long-term are what's best for your legacy, especially when it comes to your resume. So beating an undefeated Costa as your first title defense as the unified champion would be great for his legacy, would be great for his brand. Whitaker, I think, Jared Cannonier puts him right there. It's a winnable fight. It's a fight he can look good in. And if he does look good, he will be right back in the stratosphere of a title shot. So I would say Cannonier versus Whitaker to move him forward. And then I would say Izzy staying and defending his belt at least 2 or 3 times before moving on is the way to build his legacy.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught this the other day, but as you know, Dana White obviously loves to make comments to TMZ when he's walking on the street. It's no secret that the UFC and TMZ have a close relationship. And Dana White basically was asked straight up about Jones versus Israel. And he said, well, we're going to do Israel versus Paulo Costa first. But if Israel wins that fight, then we're going to be looking to make Israel versus John Jones. I think that is a farce. Jones is a much larger person.
I don't understand why people want to see this.
It's because, look, at this point, and this is going to piss off a few people, don't worry, Fight Geek disagrees with me here, but, if you're still a diehard Jones fan, you should probably take a look in the mirror. I mean...
Well, it's not about being a diehard fan, it's that...
No, but if you're rooting for him to beat up a way smaller version of him, then you're a loser. Well, what else can I say?
I mean, I'm not even a Jones fan, but I'm not going to root for Izzy to come up and beat him. I'm just going to watch the fight.
Why is Jones calling out the guy who just won the belt below him? What?
You are so weird when it comes to Jones, dude.
Dude. Tell me, has any other fighter done that? Tell me another fighter who's done that.
Well, I mean,
You can't name one.
Isn't GSP subtly doing that with Khabib right now?
Yeah, and he's acting like a bitch. I have no problem saying that.
Well, you said, is anybody else doing it? I just gave you another Hall of Famer, all-time great who's doing it.
I'm not impressed with this GSP. Yes, I'll come back for Khabib,
All
back and
I'm
forth.
saying is that Israel Adesanya runs his mouth about John Jones like he's the big dog in the yard, and then
No.
back.
Jones started that fight. Come on, Fight Geek. You know Jones started that.
I'm not about to sit here and argue with you about John Jones because you're completely.
Do you think? Okay, so you think that Jones was walking back with this little spinny cap with the wind catching it with his little like popsicle, and he's like, "I'm just trying to have a nice day." And Israel's like, "Well, look who it is, John."
What does your premise have to do with anything?
I'm trying to say that you're saying that Israel was the bully. Like, well, if it isn't little John Jones
Israel's the bully,
trying to walk home from school.
Israel runs his mouth a lot. Does he back it up? Yes, to this point he has backed it up. But he's the one that went out of his way talking about John Jones. And then when John responds, Israel Adesanya stops talking about John Jones. Israel Adesanya's coach wants no part of John Jones right now. That's just MMA Twitter stuff, dude. I don't understand why that fight would even be made right now.
That's like saying, okay, bro, that's like saying Usman doesn't want any part of Stylebender. Well, they're different divisions, brah.
Dude, you know there's so much good MMA to talk about. Why are we talking about this? I don't care who called out who. I don't think Israel Adesanya should fight John Jones next. I do not think that. The question was, how does he build his legacy? I explained to you how I believe he builds his legacy.
Okay, all right.
I don't think John Jones has anything to do with the next fight, personally.
Okay, fair enough. Moving on. This is at KevC918. Kev, what up? Thoughts on who Ngannou's next opponent could be? There's literally nobody in the heavyweight division right now, and with Rumble saying he's possibly going down to 205 to fight John, that takes away that option. Who should Ngannou fight? And I love the show, guys. First of all, Kev, thank you so much for listening.
My question is, raise your hand if you think that Anthony Johnson's ever making 205 again, because I certainly don't believe that's happening.
This is me. Yeah, people can't see me. I am raising my hand to Fight Geek.
Oh, you believe he's going to lose 45, 50 pounds of muscle?
Wait, I thought you just said raise your hand if you think he can't.
No, if you think he can get to 205, raise your hand.
Oh. No.
No, he's not getting to 205. He will never fight John Jones at 205.
There's zero chance. Sorry. So, I misunderstood you. I misheard.
Right. So what I'm saying is Rumble is not going to fight John Jones. Would Rumble like to come back and get a free title shot? Sure, but he can't make 205. He had no answers for Daniel Cormier at 205. Why would he have any answers for John Jones at 205? I don't even understand that either.
Very fair. Okay, this next question is from Jalen Ware. That's at strive2b_gr8. Strive2b_great. He has a great question here, and he used hashtag AskSplitPod. He says, Tiago Santos said recently he wants an immediate rematch his first fight back. Should the UFC give him an immediate rematch upon his return from surgery? I say absolutely. And for the record, sorry, but 48-47 Santos in that fight.
Well, you would say that. You're the most biased fan in the history of mixed martial arts fandom.
You know, Justin Fight Geek, you love to always talk about how biased I am. No, you love to say, you use rules for this, but not the same rules for that. I want you to tell me when I'm not consistent with my rules. Tell me.
Well,
Go ahead.
Consistent.
Go ahead.
You're consistently blinded by your hate for John Jones. That's what you're consistent.
Because he's cheated so many times. You're absolutely right. I hate Jones.
But he did not lose to Tiago Santos. And if you think he did, you're absolutely out of your mind. Period.
Is that okay? So then one of the three judges was out of their mind.
Well, every week at the UFC events, one of their
judges. It was a split decision, bro.
He couldn't even walk out under his own power. He did not win.
Yeah, and fight. Jones still couldn't do anything. In that fifth that he lost?
This is what I don't understand. People say Jones didn't do anything when the guy had hurt knees and hurt legs. John hurt his legs and his knees. John destroyed his legs. John picked his legs apart. John is the reason his legs were destroyed at the end of the fight. He didn't slip on a banana peel on the way to the ring and fight John with an injured knee the whole night. John inflicted those injuries. Period.
Do you guys see what I'm dealing with?
Well, I mean,
I'm just kidding.
How did Tiago get his hurt knee? Can you tell me?
Nah, you're right. Okay. Do you have one or should I go?
Oh, go ahead.
All right, this is from Unsolicited Fight Picks. That's at Combative Views. What up, son? What up? He says, too late for a question, ? No, it's not, because we're answering it now. Ooh! Okay, thoughts on the California Athletic Commission's rules on 15% over contracted weight on fight day. So I believe, and guys, and Fight Geek, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not 100% sure on this, but I believe this is a reference to this new California Athletic Commission rule where on fight day, you're weighed, and you're not supposed to be over 15% of the contractual weight you agreed to fight at. Thoughts?
Yeah, I like it in theory. I'm sure the fighters don't like it because I'm sure
the fighters
many
do not like. Aspen Ladd is not happy.
Well, the thing is I mean, obviously, so if you're a 155-pounder, you're allowed, what, 18 pounds or so you can weigh in at 173. If you're 185, you can weigh in at like 203, something along those lines is what you're talking about?
If you weigh, you said, yeah. I mean, it's...
So
if you weigh 130, it's like roughly 20 pounds?
No, because if it's 150, 10% would be 15, and then another 5% would be half of that, would be 7.5, so it would be 22.5 pounds. You could be above if you're a lightweight. So that would mean that Khabib could not weigh in any heavier than 178. Is that my understanding
Fight Geek, you know for a fact that I have been working to the point that I have not slept in the last day, and you're making me do math, and I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate that.
The listener question is dealing with the math.
You know what, guys? How to get a block from Phil the MMA dude is if you're sending me math. Do you have any idea how tired I am? I haven't slept. I didn't sleep last night.
Keep it moving. Listen,
keep it moving.
I like the idea, but I don't think the fighters will like it. So, I don't know. Are they implementing this currently? Or is it proposed?
No. I think my impression is it just got passed to become enforced, but it's not yet.
I think it would allow for more fair fights on fight night, but I think it takes away the advantage of the guys who have mastered the art of weight cutting. So.
Agreed. Okay, this is from one of my favorites, honestly, the MMA philosopher. Shout out. That's at SmartDan51. You know why I really like SmartDan51, the MMA philosopher? I like him because he's a very big Jones fan, but he takes my anti-Jones comments, like a winner. He takes them in stride. He doesn't take them too seriously.
With a grain of salt, they say.
Huh?
I said he takes it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, he's a good sport about it. I like the guy. And so he says, Nigerian mixed martial arts are extending. Rank Izzy, Usman, and Ngannou from best to worst in pound-for-pound fighter. Not most accomplished. He says not most accomplished, just best to worst.
I would rank them in the order he has them. Izzy 1, Usman 2, Ngannou 3. And I don't think it's debatable.
No. Oh, you're wrong. Izzy 1, Ngannou 2, Usman 3.
Ngannou, you're going to say Ngannou is a better pound-for-pound fighter than Usman?
You just wait. See, this is a casual take in 2019. You think Ngannou will never be champ. That's what you think. You're saying
no, that's not what I said. You have to understand the meaning of pound for pound. Do his skills translate at another weight class? Is he that skilled? He's by far the least skilled of the three, in my opinion. He's a big, heavy puncher who has the most crude skill set.
Everyone who's tried to shoot on him, 2 of his last 3 opponents have been wrestlers, and they get their heads chopped off.
Well, he's certainly not the wrestler that Usman is.
He doesn't need to be, because when Usman shoots, Usman's dead.
What are you talking about? We're talking about pound for pound relative. We're not talking about against each other.
Listen, pound for pound is a make-believe nerd concept that is not real.
That's what you say because you don't understand it, okay?
Are you actually trying to... Wait, Fight Geek, are you trying to sit here and tell me that pound for pound is scientific or can be actually argued? Is that what you're trying to say, brah?
But people who understand it, sure. Anyways,
ridiculous.
I gave you
pound for pound is ridiculous.
Okay, moving on. Jim Asoon.
The man, the myth, the legend, Jim Asoon. Go.
Nice intro. Okay.
Thanks.
Jim asks, how do y'all feel about old retired fighting? How do y'all feel about old retired fighters deciding to fight in bare knuckle fights? Go ahead.
The truth is, I don't know enough. I mean, the sport is still so new that it's my understanding that it's lucrative deals for the fighters. I don't, look, I think they should be getting CT scans before they're cleared to fight. I don't know what the situation is with that. They need to be getting health scans before they're cleared. If they're cleared to fight, let them fight. I think that it's, bare knuckle fighting actually has a similar, a little bit of a similarity with MMA in that they're both so brutal that they're stopped very quickly. Unlike boxing, where you don't get stopped and then you die in the hospital or, God forbid, something like that after the fight.
True, but they are now booking guys like Bigfoot Silva versus, I can't even remember who he's fighting off the top of my head, but
Do you know if they have to go? Do you know? I'm very curious if they have to pass.
Of course, they have to pass.
Like CT scans? Are they given like a CT scan?
Yes, of course, yeah.
Then I'm okay with. Then I'm fine with it. Honestly, right. I'm okay.
But I mean, Chuck Liddell passed his test to fight Tito at 48. So how credible are these commissions, anyways?
I mean, no, I agree. So that was a mistake fight. Having said that, Chuck Liddell hasn't fought since.
For instance,
he hasn't fought since.
I don't want to see Vanderlei Silva in bare knuckle. I don't want to see Bigfoot Silva in bare knuckle. Even if they win a fight or two, I don't want to see those guys in bare knuckle because I understand the state of their career. Personally, that's just my taste.
Yeah, by the way, unpopular opinion, I'm just going to say it right now. So I don't know if you saw Fight Geek, but, they booked Artem Lobov versus Jason Knight to BKFC, and couldn't be more excited. Well, sorry, haters.
That's the kind of bare knuckle fighting you want to watch. Two younger guys, or at least closer to their prime, savages, tough. You don't want to see 45-year-old men punching each other in the head unless it's very rare instances.
Really quick, listeners of this, if you have not seen Artem Lobov versus Jason Knight 1 in BKFC, please type that into YouTube and watch it. You will not be sorry. Watch that fight. You'll be excited for the sequel. I promise. Excellent.
Okay, moving on here. I got one from Glitch at MMA Port. Asks,
Glitch, what up?
Is James Vick the Homer Simpson of MMA?
But he's not as funny. He's not as clever or funny.
What does this mean, though? When the people say you're the Homer Simpson of MMA, what is that? Explain to me this metaphor.
Have you ever seen The Simpsons?
I have, but what does that mean? Glutton for punishment?
No. Like, Homer Simpson is
average?
He's a fearless... No, I would describe him almost as a... I mean, he's an idiot. He's like... Have you seen Family Guy?
Yes, I get the
He's like a Peter Griffin type.
But what does that have to do with MMA? Are we talking about his personality?
No. He has no... when he's fighting in the show, he has no defense. He gets hits... he gets hit a lot.
Okay. This makes sense
stupid.
Now. Okay.
He's stupid in general. Do you know what I mean? He's kind of got no fear due to stupidity.
Yeah, I don't think James Vick is that. I mean, someone like a Mike Perry is more of Homer Simpson if we're talking about no fear due to stupidity.
Yeah, but Mike Perry at least has a chin. Vic has no chin.
But doesn't Homer hold up to all that damage?
Touche. Touche! Oh, you just broke the matrix on that one.
So I think I just proved that no, he's not, because he doesn't have a chin. Homer does.
All right.
So it truly was the Justin Gaethje reference. Right? Wrong?
Yeah. No, you're right.
All right, I got one queued up here from Larry at Larmule61. What's up,
Larry? I love Larry. Larry, what up, dude?
He says, do you think we will ever see split promotion fights? Why I'm asking is it appears the UFC is hearing the fans and realizing the money - BMF belt. What do you think? Do you think they'll ever go to cross-promotional fights?
So, I believe, is he referencing UFC cross-promotional fights? Because obviously, as we know, Bellator and Ryzen are already cooperating for cross-promotional fights, correct?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so I'm assuming that he means UFC, and I do believe that's what he meant. He
did say UFC.
He did?
He said, do you ever think we'll see a split promotion fight? Obviously, we've seen that in Bellator Ryzen. Why I'm asking is it appears UFC is hearing the fans. He's saying the UFC is starting to make adjustments a la the BMF belt. Do you think that they will ever go far enough to do a cross-promotion fight?
Right.
I believe.
My short answer is no. I think that Dana is too competitive. No, I don't. You say
I think
yes?
I think the UFC is very elitist with their brand. I think they like to consider themselves the elite MMA brand in the world today, and I don't think they want to let anybody else in on their piece of the pie. So I think they like to stand alone.
Yep. Agreed.
All right. Got one here from Smokey J MMA.
Smokey J! What up, dog, from Australia? I love this cat.
He says, Nico, the hybrid price, is cementing himself as one of the most dangerous knockout artists of recent times, and his recent upkick KO of James Vick could be the most brutal yet. What exactly is this beast a hybrid of? Go ahead.
I guess he's a hybrid of a... okay, hang on. Of a female leg weightlifter and a leopard?
You really put a lot of thought into that.
And yet it made no sense.
Let's just say he's definitely got a little bit of like throwback pride fighter in him, with how wild he is, how he can strike from all angles, how he would have done great in like the no holds bar days back in the day when you could just do whatever you want. I could see Nico Price like headbutting guys on the ground and stuff like that. Not sure who what he's a hybrid of. I know the dude is full of like nervous energy. He shouts out Jesus after upkicking, knocking people out. Very hard to corral. So let's just say, I don't know. He's a unique one. I don't know if we've seen many characters like Nico Price.
I agree. I think he's I think, and you were really just saying this, he's hard to kind of, it's hard to take his skills and quantify them. You know what I mean? Because
exactly.
I don't know, every fight I want to ask, which Nico Price am I getting? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. He comes out strong. I think he's dangerous for everyone, but he's also careless, which I think has led to him to be stopped a couple times.
Right.
So he's kind of an all or nothing fighter. So,
but we agree. Like, I feel like on any given day he can kind of take anyone.
Absolutely, and in any given position, he's shown that he can be incredibly dangerous, which we haven't seen from other guys. I mean, we've seen him finish off his back twice now, I believe. Very rare finishes. I mean, the fact that he landed the upkick isn't that rare. The fact that he landed it with enough power right on Vic's jaw to knock him unconscious is very impressive and very difficult to do.
Totally agree.
So do we have a hybrid? I don't know if we're answering this question right. I was going to say...
I said... I gave my answer.
Okay. We'll go with... whatever.
Don't ask me what it was.
/ Panther or whatever.
It's getting, guys. I didn't sleep last night. It's been a rough work week.
It's getting late on the West Coast. Let's keep it.
All right. Wait, did we do reads at Daily Knockout?
I don't believe so.
What do you think about Patricio Pitbull's post about Bellator fighters never being in the pound for pound GOAT conversation? He insinuates that Patricio insinuates that's unfair. And then if Patricio came to the UFC, do you think he could be champion? Go ahead.
I think we discussed
Yeah, we answered this last episode, Reed.
I think we decided.
Reed, you listen in every week, bro. I love you.
For sure.
Reed, I love you, bro. But listen every week because I think we answered it last week, right?
2 weeks ago, Phil. Can I answer the question?
Yeah, go ahead. Reed, I'm not trying to throw shade. I love you. I think we answered. Go ahead.
So, Pitbull will definitely be a top 5 guy in the UFC, in our opinion. Very skilled, and I agree with him. I think pound for pound list, which Phil doesn't quite understand, should certainly include Pitbull.
Wow.
And maybe even a Ryan Bader down around 20 or somewhere in the top 20. But yeah, definitely should be including fighters from other organizations. But if you're looking at a publication from ESPN or Bleacher Report or something like that, they're in bed with UFC, so you're never going to see that. So you got to find independent media sources for those pound for pound rankings.
Yo, I apologize so much, guys. Fight Geek did expose me as someone who doesn't have a ton of respect for the UFC pound for pound rankings. I know that Fight Geek says that they are the answer to everything. They are always correct 100% and to never question them.
Well, they do still have Connor at like 7.
Oh, right. So. They've got Connor at 7, so you know they're accurate. That is where me and Fight Geek will disagree. No problemo on that one. Yeah. Don't.
Phil's getting sleepy over there. I can see his eyes. Let's keep this moving, dude. Let's.
Your pound for pound take is ridiculous.
Your pound for pound knowledge is ridiculous.
Pound for pound's not real, dude. Pound for pound's not real, dude. All right, let's move on.
Okay. You feel so strongly about that. All right, the Bazman 20 asks.
Bazman, what up? Love the pic of you and your family.
Okay, what's your thoughts on DC returning? I know tons of us thought he would hang him up, but after hearing him talk about his conversation with his wife and about going out fighting his fight, maybe we're swayed the other way. I don't know. I haven't heard any of us talking about him hanging him up. I've been calling for the rematch since 5 minutes, or the trilogy since 5 minutes after the rematch. I think DC versus Stipe is the most important fight in UFC heavyweight history for many reasons we've documented before. 100% knew that DC would not retire on that stoppage loss, so this is just all kind of status quo in my opinion.
Yeah, we disagree there. I'm disappointed that DC did not retire. I think he will not win a third fight, although I obviously hope very much that he does, being a diehard DC fan. I do think he's making a big mistake. Should have left the game at 22-2. Now it could be 22-3. And just a shame that he's taken the third fight with Stipe. I don't see him winning it.
That's interesting coming from you, but okay.
Well, I try to make my picks, separate from my emotions. I know that can be a complicated concept for many amateur pickers, but
unless it comes to John Jones. Okay, moving on.
Oh, hey, I picked. When was the last time I picked Jones to lose? Tell me.
Well, you still are trying to say that Thiago Santos beat him, which is comical.
Just.
Okay, here we go. Driver at Baby23 Driver asks Askren versus Maya, who and how? Ask Split Pod. Go.
Yeah. I think what we're gonna see, Driver, and boy, do I hope we're wrong. I think we're gonna see a really bad fight, a really, really ugly fight where Askren is basically beating Maya in the wrestling. And then Maya has good enough BJJ defense to avoid any kind of stoppage. So it's going to be like sort of watching the worst fight of all time. So buckle in your seatbelt.
You just aren't cultured enough to appreciate the grappling, Phil.
Do you get what I'm saying? There's not... The grappling cancels itself out, Fight Geek. The grappling...
But it doesn't, in my opinion. I'm taking Damian Maya via submission.
Really? Really?
Yes.
Are you really?
Uh-huh.
Well, listen.
I am.
Well, listen. It's a ballsy pick. if Askren gets submitted by Damian Maia, I mean, he's a joke forever. For sure.
Of course. Well, Damian Maia has submitted a lot of great fighters, but Ben
Askren,
Askren...
he better not lose this one by submission, man. That would be so bad.
That would be the end
bad.
of his career. Yeah, but I mean, I don't think this is a sexy fight, and I don't think it'll be entertaining, but I do think that this will be tough for Ben. Ben is not the kind of athletic wrestler that a Colby or an Usman is. So, I don't know. I just don't see him pushing quite the same physical pace on Maia. Maia's incredible. I mean, he's a little war-torn because he's been through so many battles, but I do think that Maia has the more high-end experience and definitely has faced wrestlers many, many times over and is tricky enough to catch Askren. So I don't know if that's wishful thinking or what, but I kind of am envisioning Maia backpack submission.
Yeah, very fair. Okay, have we read from I Say Dude a Lot? That's at JRSP_1978.
We have not.
Okay, I Say Dude a Lot. His question is, can Jorge win a 5-rounder against Nate? How? Hashtag asks split pod. Hashtag asks split pod. Thank you. Thank you, I Say Dude a Lot. We always shout out when you use the right hashtag, and you did.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes 5 rounds, I obviously would think that that style of fight in that situation favors Nate. But could Jorge win a 5-round decision? I think he could. I don't think it's likely, but he does have the kind of boxing. He's a little more of a crisp boxer than Diaz, in my opinion. Caught a very tight decision with boxing. So I think that you could see a similar victory for Jorge versus Nate as the Conor win in Conor Diaz 2. Just a very slight striking advantage over 5 rounds.
Yeah, I think that is very fair and frankly hard to disagree with, frankly. Yeah. Look, I agree with Fight Geek, okay? I don't like doing it. I agree with them, okay? I don't like doing it. Let's move on really fast, okay? Ready? You ready?
Yes. I'm so ready.
All right, this is from Meep MMA. That's at Meep MMA. He says, UFC Boston is this week, and it's a make-or-break fight for Weidman, as it's his debut at light heavyweight. What will happen if he wins? Does he get a title shot? Or, most importantly, what happens if he loses? Is he done? Go.
If he loses, I think he probably is done as a headlining fighter, a main event fighter, but I still think there's matchups for him. If he wins, sure he'll get on there and call for John Jones, and then that gives John Jones, a former champion, coming off a win in his division, so it could be an intriguing fight. I obviously don't see it going that way, but if Chris loses this, I think his headlining days may be over. That's kind of what I'll say.
Oh, definitely. I think that if Chris loses this, for his legacy, it might be best to retire. I know that sounds really harsh, but I have thought about this, and just in terms of his overall legacy, it might be wise to retire. Again, if he loses, which is not for sure, but yeah, I think he may. And then, did we ask from Derek Lewis's Hot Balls? That's at Pixie Dust 26. Did we ask her question?
We have not.
Will JJ reclaim her throne from Zhang? I think we answered this.
I believe she will.
As do I. Okay,
I got one here from Shane Terra.
Go.
Okay, Shane Terra says, will we see Kayla Harrison in ONE or UFC, or will PFL stay big enough to keep her happy? We will not see her in the UFC for a while, I believe, because they don't have a 155-pound weight division, which seems to be her very natural weight. They have a hard time stocking the 145-pound division, so 155 is a long, long ways off. If she's able to get to 145 and wins this tournament, I could see potentially her going to the UFC. But for now, I do anticipate her staying in the PFL.
Yeah, I think that if the PFL is smart, they're not going to let a brand like Kayla Harrison go easily. You know, we all know that her record is a little inflated, her stoppages are a little inflated, and that's okay. That's what the PFL wants. But if she goes to the UFC or she goes to Bellator, she may very well be, she may very well be in for a very rude awakening.
But I kind of don't agree with that because...
Oh, yeah? You think she can take Gabby Garcia? Is that what you're saying?
Well, Gabby Garcia is not even 155, is she? She's, like, much bigger.
I think she can cut to it.
Doubtful. So, anyways, yeah, I think she'll stay in one. So let's keep it moving. We got a bunch of these. Okay. Did you ask the one from Aiden yet?
What is it again? Sorry, go ahead.
All right. At XAidenC1 asks, so since UFC 235 is in a few months, there's been a lot of debate about who should be the main event. Well, I think it's guaranteed Usman versus Colby. Who would you guys put as the main event? I'd put Max because he's the bigger name and more accomplished champion.
Oh, yeah.
Who would you put?
So, yeah, I tweeted about this. I got a lot of controversial criticism, which is great, which is fine. I love that. I said, basically, Fight Geek, that it was an insult to Max Holloway and Alex Volkanovski that they were not the main event over Covington versus Usman. My argument being that both Usman and Covington remain unpopular fighters. Usman has exactly 0 title defenses, while Holloway is at the very least the second greatest featherweight of all time, and very much on his way to being the first. Go ahead. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of disagree with you there. Volkanovski's the weakest side of that when it comes to fanfare. Obviously, Colby has a set of fans. Usman, not so much, but he is the sitting champion, so at least you'd have the champion versus a B-side who can bring something to the table. Max versus Volkanovski, well, a great fight. I don't think there's enough B-side interest to make that the main event, if you're following what I mean.
You're talking about...
So.
Wait, what doesn't have enough B-side? Holloway, Volkanovski?
Yeah, because the A-side's Max, which is very strong. The B-side is Volkanovski, which universally isn't a huge, well-known name. Where when you put Usman, who's the sitting champion, versus Colby, who's a very well-known name, you have more of a B-side for your main event.
Okay, I hear you, but no one likes Usman or Covington.
But do you understand that wanting to see someone lose is just as important as wanting to see them win when it comes to tuning in? Nobody knows about Alexander Volkanovski.
All right.
The UFC, I mean, yeah, you agree with me.
Yeah.
All right, you got another one? Let's keep it moving.
All right. So this one, wait, do you have one? Take a quick second while I pull this up.
I do. I have one for Jacob Powers. He says, #AskSplitPod. Between Cody Garbrandt and Austin Vanderford, who has the worst neck tattoo? Go.
Oh, definitely Austin Vanderford. No one has it worse than him. Listen, that thing is horrifying. It's a gigantic eyeball all over his neck and throat. And his Adam's apple.
Imagine waking up to that every morning.
I'm on it. Like, I'm not even trying to be crude. What is Paige Van Zandt thinking during moments of romanticism? What is she thinking? Is she thinking, oh, hello, alien eyeball? Hello, alien eye. Like, what's going on?
She was at the tattoo parlor holding his hand while he got it. She probably helped him design it.
No, she actually said she was against it. You clearly don't follow PVZ like I do, which is actually messed up, bro, but whatever.
Only when Macy Barbie is trolling her. That's the only time I pay attention.
Fine. Good answer.
All right, okay. Yes, Austin Vanderford by a country mile, the worst neck tattoo.
Yup.
And that's saying something. Okay, let's keep it moving. I got one from Eduardo at Landa Cruz. Says, what do you think the biggest reason why MMA fighters can't stay retired but don't buy the whole I just love to fight reason? biggest reason is they don't make enough money during their prime. Therefore, they're not able to set themselves up except for a very select few. I think Nate Diaz is the prime example of this. That's why you saw him take a 3-year break after he got paid. The goal is to make money in prize fighting, and if you didn't make enough during your prime, you hang on a little too long to keep getting paychecks. That's just my opinion. You got any thoughts over there?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Look, I think that winning in MMA in particular is very addictive. Okay, I think it's almost like a drug rush, right? It's an addictive feeling. It's hard to let go. I think that the rush of the crowd is hard to let go, and I think that fighters ultimately fight because they love fighting. Fight Geek, because there's not enough money to simply fight because you love it. It doesn't pay well enough. That's what I honestly think. So these guys are giving up their true love, their truest passion. And if you've been a halfway successful fighter, you can understand how painful that might be, because you're always thinking, maybe I can get another. Maybe I can get one more big win. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. It's a good answer.
Yeah.
I think it's more just strictly financial.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
So, wait. Should I play?
We're coming down to the last one or two. I have
Kairos?
one more.
Should I play Kairos?
No, I have one more from Dad Dash Bro at looking at MMA. What do you do with our beloved Michelle Watterson? Make 110-pound division? Question mark.
Wouldn't it be 105? Wouldn't it be 105? By the way. What's
she
atom
would be
weight?
105, which is atom weight. But they have that in one, which means one probably has the majority of the girls at that weight, so it's going to be impossible for the UFC to break into that class, I would think.
It wouldn't be impossible at all. You make one tough season, no problem.
How much?
A tough season.
What'd you say?
I said you make one tough season of those girls, no problem. No?
Yeah, I guess you'd have an easier time finding 105-pound girls than 145-pound girls.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Okay. Well, cool. That, or I would like, I know she's not going to leave the UFC anytime soon, but I'd like to see her go back to her natural weight class at 105 and even fight in one in the future if that's an option.
Okay. I like that. Can you imagine if the UFC put together a quick atomweight division, Michelle Watterson wins it, and then they do, what is it, Angela Lee? Is she the atomweight champ?
Don't put me on the spot like that. They fought last weekend.
Let me see. I think she is. I'm not sure. But anyways.
I watched through the third round. I feel like such a catch.
Watterson versus the one atomweight champ. And I think it's Angela Lee. That's what I said. Okay. Are we ready for the Kairos question real quick?
Yes, we are. Let's do it.
All right. Let's do it, folks. Let's do it.
Okay, so recently Santiago Ponzinibbio pulled out of his fight with Robbie Lawler. My first question is, who should Robbie Lawler face in the interim now? Some people are saying Jeff Neal. Some people are saying Mike Perry. Some people are saying other things. I like the Jeff Neal fight. Also, do you think it's possible to rebrand interim titles? What if they just started calling interim titles the BMF title? Do you think that would make people more interested in watching interim fights and taking the belt more seriously? And also, would the UFC respect it now because people are behind it?
Kairos MMA, you're the man. That's at Kairos MMA. Handles Kairos MMA on YouTube. What a great question. Fight Geek, you want to kick this off?
Yeah, I do not like. I mean, obviously, I like the action in a Robbie Lawler versus Jeff Neal fight, but Robbie Lawler's an aging veteran. I don't want Robbie Lawler to be thrown in there versus guys who are 28 years old, lethal strikers on their way up. I just don't think that's a great fight to make for Robbie Lawler, especially considering his recent history. So I do not love that fight. I actually don't like the Mike Perry fight either. I've said many, many times Mike Perry needs a long, extended break. So yeah, I don't know. I would expect Robbie Lawler at this point to wait and take fights that can help his legacy. I mean, his legacy is pretty much set in stone from his title reign, so I doubt he's going to take that's going to take too much of a hit, but I just don't like the idea of throwing him in there with a Jeff Neal at this point of his career. But most people probably won't like that.
Yeah,
What do
I
you
mean,
think?
look, I don't like the Jeff Neal fight either, but I do like Robbie Lawler versus Platinum Mike Perry. I say make it. I say it's
Well,
fine.
obviously, I love that fight, but Mike Perry's nose was destroyed like 4 months ago,
He
wasn't
claims he's fine. He claims he's ready.
it? Oh, well, strap it on then, and let's go.
Was there a second part of that question? Or no? I don't even.
There was. Do you think if we rename the interim belts, the BFL, they will be respected more because there will be more fan interest, I believe is the question. I say absolutely not.
Oh yeah, wait. Before you answer, to clarify, he meant it's not called the BMF belt in every division. He meant it would be a unique marketing, branding belt term for each appropriate weight class.
Okay, so
Does that change your answer at all?
okay, so what would it be like? UFC Fight Night 61 Emerald belt? I mean, what would I don't even know.
Emerald.
What would we
Why
call
would
them?
you jump from
Would it be
baddest? Why would you jump from baddest motherfucker to Emerald belt? I feel like you've been watching The
Well,
Wizard
then I
of
just-
Oz on like Sativa. Like, why would you jump to Emerald? I'm just trying to make
because
fun of you.
there was just an emerald belt created for one of the boxing promotions, but I wouldn't expect you to know that since you pay attention so much.
Oh yeah. I'm a total boxing casual. That went way over my head, by the way. For
I
real.
could tell. So yeah, I was just using that as a reference. You know, if it's just going to be an aesthetic belt, then no, I don't see the reason to have a bunch of fake belts going around. But I don't see the reason to have a lot of interim titles as well. I'm not a fan of the interim titles unless there's very specific situations. So I'm not in favor of renaming the belts personally. But
Yeah.
sorry to be a party pooper.
No, I have to agree. I think you got to keep the belt strong by not creating too many BS ones with different names. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being patient with the week off. Fight Geek is hopefully done being Hollywood on us. This was episode 42. We will be back next week. Fight Geek, take it away, baby!
All right, guys. As usual, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher, and more. I'm at the Fight Geek MMA. He's at Phil the MMA Dude. We're at Split_podcast. It's 4 words. The Split Decision Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week. Peace.
Peace.